So I've seen this film twice by now because I enjoyed it a lot, and even more the second time. I would describe this film as timeless but modern at the same time, and that's a pretty hard thing to do, to accomplish. But they managed to do it. This feels, there are 70s, 80s vibes, because of the locations. They all look pretty timeless. They spend some times at bookstores and stuff like that. I even get some Harry and Sally vibes, because it feels like an old romantic comedy, but not in a trashy sense, not too Hollywood, but Hollywood enough to not be an art house film or something like that. The film balances those elements very well. So it's timeless. It feels like a film from another decade, but at the same time, it's very modern because of its themes and because of the way the characters are written, and because there are pretty heavy themes in there. It's a little deeper than some 80s romantic comedies. So they managed to combine very different things and make something unique out of it, and I respect it a lot. And it's a timeless film, and I think it will work in 20 years from now. It will work because a lot of its themes are timeless, and this is very well acted by both Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. They are really great in this film. The chemistry between those two is unbelievable. Especially in the ending scene. I won't spoil anything if you haven't seen it by now. It really drove me to tears. I will admit it. I had a little tear in my eye watching the final scene of the film, the final piece of dialogue, because it was so well acted, especially by Zendaya. What she does just with her eyes in this scene and in many scenes, just looking at her eyes drove me to tears because it was just very well done. So what is this film about if you haven't seen it by now? This young couple is about to get married, and they get drunk one night, and they're talking about their past, and everyone tells some inappropriate story from their past, something really bad they did in their youth or something. Pattinson's character talks about bullying another kid, and he had to leave school and even town because of the bullying got so bad. And when it comes to Zendaya's character, she reveals she did something pretty bad in her youth. I won't tell you what it is if you haven't seen the film, because I don't want to ruin it for you, but something very conflicting, something morally difficult. And from there on, the story develops because Pattinson's character doesn't know how to handle this because she didn't tell him before, and it's something pretty serious. It's a big thing. And a few days before the marriage, he's not able to handle this very well, and he's conflicted and he's confused about her, and he doesn't really know how to feel about it. And so this whole thing spirals into something very chaotic and something pretty dark at times. So because this is a perfect example for a dramedy. It's very funny. It's very dark sense of humor. They got some smart, very smart gags in there, but pretty dark. And at the same time, it's a very dramatic and dark story. And all of those elements are balanced perfectly. It blends into each other perfectly because it's a very smart film. It's smart writing, they know how to balance those things, and those gags are not cheap gags, not cheap Hollywood throwaway gags. It's smart humor, and the dramatic elements. They don't come off as melodramatic or something. It comes off as very natural. And it's just smartly written. And you discover this whole thing through Pattinson's character a little more than through Zendaya's. But at the same time, I think that Zendaya's character is the true victim in this film, because I think everyone around her acts inappropriately and makes some pretty bad decisions. How they handle the story she told, and those people are in their early 30s, I guess, and I think at that age you should be able to talk this out, to discuss this whole thing, in a different manner. And I think, Zendaya's character, what she needed back in her childhood was someone who listens to her, a friend, someone who notices her, and I think the characters around her, and even Pattinson's character, they do exactly the thing you shouldn't do with a person who discovered such feelings and who did things like Zendaya's character. Yeah, so I think she's kind of a victim, in this film. But you can somehow understand Pattinson's character. And the man became a really great actor. What he does, he does comedy pretty well, surprisingly well. I haven't seen it in a comedy before, but there's a lot of talent there, and he made me laugh a few times. So yeah, the chemistry between those is unbelievable. And overall, I would say this is a very smart film, very well-written film, very well-written characters. It has a great pacing, because when the whole thing spirals completely out of control, when it completely gets out of hands in the last 20 minutes, it really works. It makes you feel very confused because it's like a sledgehammer. When it totally gets out of it slowly gets out of control, very slowly, piece by piece, and by the end it's like everything breaks down, everything turns into total chaos, and when this happens, it's very effective. So yeah, it's a very well-paced film. I can't say anything negative about this film. Nothing comes to mind. I think it's a perfect film. Everything works for me. Everything. From the first scene to the last, I think it's a very smart film and a very well acted one. And it's timeless and modern at the same time. And it will work 20 years, 30 years from now. So please do yourself a favor and give this a try. You won't regret it, because it's just a very good film. Thank you for watching. Love you and see you very soon.